Freedom means to act, speak, and want as one wants to feel. Freedom is important because it gives rise to individuality, choice, and it also helps an individual to access their rights and needs the way they want to. Freedom helps an individual to understand their boundaries, their issues, and also it makes a person understand what can make them feel and what can make them feel good and bad. The understanding of good and bad also happens when a person is given freedom. If freedom is not given, it becomes a very difficult issue, a choice of situation, and a very difficult issue for an individual. Freedom helps a person to breathe freely, to have and explore their needs and wants their own way. But interestingly, if we say that let's not misuse freedom or you will lose it. Misusing any types of freedom leads to its violation of its rights, and also violation of the understanding of that freedom. Understanding freedom and also assessing the freedom in a way is very important. Youths nowadays may have the freedom, but sometimes there has been chances of misusing this freedom. Misusing in terms of not using it in the right way. Using too much of adherence to certain things which are unfit and which can actually decrease the growth of individual in certain ways. Understanding and taking responsibility of choice and actions is the most important thing of freedom. Understanding that, helping that, and also helping a society grow will also help the youths understand what is good and what is bad. So when we have freedom, we should understand that it's for our own good, and also using it in the long run in a proper way will help an individual to be happy, prosperous, and also lead to the overall growth and development.
Hi everyone, this is Anushka and I'm really glad to speak on this valuable topic of freedom and its manifestation by the youth. Before defining freedom, I would like to quote a French philosopher that I think, therefore I am. Since man learned how to live comfortably, he got accustomed to depression, oppression, and humiliation, etc. And I think all these adversities have induced the true concept of freedom in him. A man is said to be at freedom only when he is free to think, to speak, and to act without compulsion. So the term freedom may sound powerful, but there must be restrictions in its utilization. It does not empower a man that he can run amok and behave in a manner that would harm or displease others. Freedom is something that should be easily granted only when one learns how to control it and learns how to use it properly. Likewise, the freedom of movement does not allow you to barge into another man's house without his permission. And freedom of speech does not allow you to say bad things to others, so that would hurt them. And freedom of action does not allow you to use violence on others. So each individual should appreciate the freedom and not misuse it. In case of misusing it, according to me, youth are not as blatant as others, especially political leaders who are always instigating speeches, provocative actions, and non-cooperative issues. Before blaming the youths, we cannot just ignore their immaturity and, above all, the external provocations. So think the youths can be wise enough in using their freedom rightly if they are trained properly.
My idea towards freedom in a country like India, freedom has a lot of sections. Freedom of speech, education are few examples. Everybody dreams of having complete freedom. Some people think of freedom as a ticket to follow their own will, which wouldn't have any restrictions. A common way of expressing freedom for teenagers is to buy expensive stuff and bunking college, going to the nightclubs and getting drunk. For me, there are both advantages and disadvantages of freedom. Extreme freedom can land people in trouble if influenced by wrong company. Freedom can be defined as the independence to take decisions or make your own choices. Freedom is a chance to know yourself better so that you can stay happy by choosing a stable career. Freedom to explore the world and facing different challenges make us tough and rigid for survival in future. Especially for girls, freedom is the most important thing as there are families which are still rigid and don't allow the girls to make their own choices. Wearing proper clothes to safety at night, all are restrictions to freedom. Gaining access to complete freedom, I can eat whatever I want, live the way I like, and wear clothes of my choice. These make me happy and less stressed, especially in this pandemic situation. Before we turned 15, we were dependent on our parents to go somewhere, but that when we were allowed to travel on our own, the excitement and happiness, that is the ideal feeling of freedom. Young people may misuse freedom. Especially in college, experiencing freedom for the first time can drive you crazy. Everywhere in the world, there are wrong company. One should learn to judge people and ignore the bad company. If anyone in his absent mind gets into something illegal such as gambling or drugs, can cause serious problems to his family. For that, the whole family would be defamed and the person can get imprisoned. So it is best to stay away and focus on studies to build a good career. Thank you.
Freedom is generally the concept where one lives by his or her own will. To me, having the ability to act or change without a certain constraint is what freedom is. Freedom of speech, freedom of opinion, equality before the courts, and are considered to be the basic freedom or rights of an individual. Personally, I feel freedom, when applied to younger people of today's generation, it is likely to do more harm than good. Nowadays, in social media, freedom of expression and speech are mostly misused of all. Social media is known as the means of expression, especially for the voiceless people, but unfortunately, the platform has been increasingly misused for unlawful activities. Nudity in a negative way on social media and intentional publicity of such content in the name of freedom of attire or gender fluidity for fun or mocking purposes not only harms the positive influence but also disrespects the community. Harassing public on such platforms is in the name of freedom of speech often turns into darker things like cyberbullying, blackmailing, and even worse, online death and rape threats, regardless of the genders. There is an immediate need of such a committee with drafted guidelines fulfilling the needs of censorship or legal actions in this regard. In recent times, we have the freedom from many things, maybe more than what is required, but somewhere we lack a particular freedom which is not a requirement but a necessity. The freedom on mental block is what I think we lack, and to me, all should be able to gain freedom from this mental block.